What is going on? Celso Oliveira here, section 128. I'm here with
What's
Eric
up?
as usual. This is a Thursday show, which means it's pre-recorded. It's noon about right now. We're going to be airing this at 5 p.m. Maybe Eric will show up at the chat, maybe not. But again, please continue to collaborate. Say what you have to say
I'll say
about the
what's up
things
in
we
the
have to
chat.
say,
I'll be
whether you
there.
agree or not. Hold on, man. And then, of course, please subscribe. This helps us a lot. Three, four of you have not hit the subscribe button yet, but you keep coming back. I see the data, and you, of course, like what we have to say, even though you don't agree with it. But yeah, we have a small show today. I'm going to keep this tight and succinct. And the first question, of course, it goes to Eric because he's got some things to say, not only about his time as a supporter with LAFC, but of course what happened last night. Another loss to Colorado, now two in a row for LAFC. We're dropping points on the road. It's expected, but not in the fashion that we did. The highlight, of course, was Cabral Carter, the goalkeeper. Could have been a lot worse for LAFC. We could have gone out of there with 3-4-0, and he kept us in the game. But Eric, I know you got a lot in your mind, and we have a short period of time to talk about these things. So talk to me about the state of the fan base, and of course, how did you feel about last game? Which, by the way, you called it a loss.
Yeah. One, I will say that third place is not acceptable to any of us. If you look at games in hand, we are probably actually lower than third place, and that's a bit of a mirage right now. Not to mention with the injuries we have right now, the schedule congestion we have right now, everything, all the circumstances and the stars are lined up for us to slide further down the table. We kind of pulled the fire alarm here about a month
Mm-hmm.
ago on what was going on, and I think a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
hadn't really materialized yet. But now, if you were, kind of plugging your ears to the negative things going on, I think you see it now. So here we are. It's a whole lot of mess. Cabral Carter was definitely one of the high points of yesterday. Ryan Porteous, another high point yesterday. And really, that was about all the high points we had yesterday. Tafari with a pretty boneheaded foul that got called for that penalty in the first place that shouldn't have happened, almost went down 2-0.
Clear penalty, by the way. He was like,
We have a Bobasi with a failed deflection that,
yeah.
I guess he didn't know if there was a guy behind him to redirect the ball, but
Mhm.
basically he redirected the ball into the net. Otherwise, it would have been a pretty easy save from Cabral also. So it was kind of just self-sabotage again. LAFC beat themselves. And I understand the rotated lineup. I'm in favor of the rotated lineup. What I was not in favor of was rotating the lineup in a must-win Querétaro game. And then, of course, kind of a pretty full lineup came out against San Diego, which was a little odd. And then this Colorado game was a game that we should have rotated for. So I don't mind the rotation, but the
Mm,
execution was just horrible with this game. And it really highlights a lot of the glaring holes we have in the roster, the
yes.
inability to keep the team focused enough to play solid despite their limitations. So all in all, I think all over the front office, we just have red flag after red flag coming up.
Yeah, look, and then Mark Dos Santos after the game, goes ahead and say, look, this lineup is a product of fatigue and it's fatigue management, and I chose these guys because those are the guys that had the better lungs to play in Colorado. A tough place to play, by the way, if you're tired to begin with. So I get how he did this and why he did it. But again, how he did it is what I don't agree with. If you're going to rotate players, Kenny Nielsen didn't go into the game, was available, maybe could have started in the place of Tafari. Tafari has been, if you look at SofaScore, for example, one of the lowest graded players for LAFC during this particular skid. So, why not give him some rest as well? Aaron Long, not playing enough, comes in into the second half. Be transparent with us. What's going on with Aaron? Can he not start a game like this? Why was he able to come in? I think having leadership on the road to begin with is very important. I tweeted, Eric, that if you're going to rotate, you have to have your two best players start the game. That gives the rest of the team something to play with. And I do believe those guys are difference makers. Now, you put them in the last 35 when Colorado has a completely different attitude, right, on the game, it's going to blow up on you. So, what did you think of Mark Dos Santos' rotations in how they were? For another one, Jude Terry got 0 minutes yesterday. And you're like, well, maybe he'll play next game, right? But again, a guy that young, he should be playing every game, especially if we think he's that important.
Yeah, as I said, and especially playing at the elevation you play at in Denver, it makes sense to rotate for this game. But I also think if you're going to rotate the game like this, just rotate the whole damn game. Like, we got 0
Just
points out of
don't
this
put your
game,
best
and
two players to play in the end, right?
yeah, we got 0 points out of this game, and we had starters put in minutes, like put in a decent shift.
Mhm.
If we
Mhm.
could have gotten 0 points in this game and have every starter sit on the bench and rest for the next game, and I
Yeah.
think we would have been a lot better off for it. I think it was really going too halfway, and looking at this team, it's a mess. The other thing I will point out this that got me very frustrated yesterday is you look at Abobasi, and the snarky comment. He finally scored his first goal after a very long drought of scoring goals. And then you have Schaffelberg, which he can cross the ball. He's not doesn't really do much else for that, and we don't have
Million
anybody
dollar
in there
game, man.
to
Million dollar
receive the
game.
cross. And then we have Tyler Boyd, who just looks awful. Like Tyler
Awful.
Boyd doesn't look good at all.
Not at all.
And we got rid of Nathan Ordaz. Nathan Ordaz is worth more than any one of those guys on this team. And a lot of those guys make more money than Ordaz does, even at DC. So I'm kind of like, why did we get rid of Ordaz and not get rid of Abobasi, Boyd, or Schaffelberg? So, I mean, to me, that's a huge confusing aspect of it.
Mhm. And Nashville won big from this because by offloading Schaffelberg, which cost a pretty penny, I believe $1 million in GAM, and then you have Tyler Boyd, which they're still paying his salary, but he's still taking minutes away from someone here in the LAFC. There's an opportunity cost there, and and Nate the Great ended up being the took the burden of this, and now is in DC, and you could have said
and
that
he's
maybe
already
Nate,
putting up stats in DC also.
yeah, and he's doing better than Tyler Boyd has, right? So I think in this case was a little bit of ego saying, hey, we just signed these guys. They're going to work. Tyler Boyd had just arrived, right? But when I see what he's done, the Galaxy and even the Nashville, and in Nashville, like it hasn't been this much to say, yeah, he's gonna crush it here at LAFC. So I don't know why JT kind of accepted this deal. And again, Nashville opened up enough to sign the San Jose guy, which man, now it escapes me the name, but he's excellent. And he's been
Espinoza.
Espinoza, which has been an excellent
If we
player.
would have
And
gotten
I would have
Espinoza,
given
it
that
would
guy a
change our whole
DP
season.
contract at LAFC. I mean, call that guy and say, hey, Espinoza, come play for us. You're an excellent player. You've heard it multiple times. You don't need to go to Nashville, right? That was the trade for us. We missed out on that. Nashville is now a lock for the supporter shield. And by the way, we're 2% chance of winning the shield, right? So pretty much don't have a chance to do that. A 6% chance of winning MLS Cup. A very small chance. We're like the third or fourth team with a chance to win this cup. So yeah, we're not looking good, Eric. It's very, very challenging. And I want to talk about one more roster mechanic thing that came out, which sort of validates what we're talking about. This year, it's been a lot of these roster mismanagement things. And Amin Boudri, right, which is something we touched upon on Monday, was also a little bit of a black eye on LAFC's front office because even though we got rid of them and monetarily, it seems like we recouped the money we paid for this guy, it left a hole in this roster. So you can say a lot of the things that you saw yesterday are a product of Amin Boudri just saying, you know what, it's not going to work for me. I'm going back to Sweden. What do you think of that, man? Because it seems like it was poorly planned from day one. The guy had visa issues also, I heard. So he had to go back to Sweden, back and forth. What do you think of this mismanagement of this talent coming in from Europe, right? And we're burning through these guys that are all in and out very quickly.
It's just been a horrible.
And by the way, explain Boudri to us because you're very good at this.
Yeah, no. So Boudri came in the team. As you know, or people know, we chose. There's two pathways you could take. You could choose the 3DP, 3U22 pathway, or you can choose to have 2 designated players and 4 U22 players and an additional $2 million of GAM. So bringing in Boudri as the U22, they also brought in the extra GAM, which they promptly have spent. Yes. So Boudri is gone, and we can't go back. You can change halfway through the transfer window if you want to go back to the 3DP, 3U22, but we need to have that $1 million of GAM to basically pay off. We already took that extra GAM and have accounted for it in this. So basically, there is no filling the U22 because if we did, we would then have a negative amount of GAM, which means we're in violation of roster rules, and then come the sanctions. So this can't happen. So we're kind of stuck with this right now. And I was actually reminded on a podcast I did before the off season. I was on the MLS Moves podcast, and I don't remember saying this, but Will reminded me that I told him that on that show that this was probably the worst off season that I've ever seen LAFC have. Which honestly, I don't remember it and don't know what got into me to see that. But looking at this now, I think that's probably validated that offseason was probably the worst offseason last January that we have had for LAFC. The guys we have brought in have not worked out and probably need to get let go now. And it's an opportunity cost. So basically we're just stuck here with these roster holes that we can't fill until this next offseason.
Right. And if you don't have a massive pool of depth in the youth category, right? Like we're doing everything we can. And the end of the bench for LAFC, there are guys that have not had any major league soccer experience. It's mostly MLS Next Pro. And those are the guys that if some of our dudes start getting injured, are the ones that are having to come in. Like, unless we start signing guys. Now, quick note that we did have a new guy, and I'm horrible with names this morning, but he got to play a little bit, and I saw some fire out of the new Bayern Munich signee, I guess. Anything to add on that? Again, it was a very small sample size, but he seems to at least have the right attitude, and I saw where he's playing. It's that very second striker position. You're not truly a 10, right? But you're going to hover around the box and try to be a part of an attack that is a little bit more complex.
It was not the German. It was not the German guy who was Visa. It was Tommy Mihalik.
Oh, it's Mihalik.
Mihalik
ended up being Mihalik. You're right. He was
a super draft player from Indiana.
Super draft. Sorry, again. See, I don't even know the guy, so that's on me, guys. That's on me.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, it was nice to see him. But to your point, look, if we're going to rotate and lose a game, it makes way more sense to put in our academy guys and let them start getting some minutes instead of these honestly fucking horse shit players that we have that should be gone.
100%.
I'm sorry. Abobasi does nothing for us. Schaffelberg does nothing for us. Tyler Boyd does nothing for us. Like, put in LAFC 2 guys, let them get the experience. Because again, we threw away 0 points anyways. And what do we get for it? We didn't even get experience for some of our young guys.
I wanted one
to contribute.
I wanted a tie out of this game. You already had written it off, and I get that. But I wanted a tie out of this. Well, the Schaffelberg comment, if you've looked at Schaffelberg's career, he's not designed to be a primary starter in your team. Even with Canada, where he's done really well, or with Nashville, where he was the second half engine. So I love him in that position. Comes in, gives us something, very good crosser, kind of scrappy. In fact, almost scored yesterday. Had a post. I like him. I think he's great in the second half, but he's not a starter because guess what? Who plays in his position? It's Denis Bouanga, and Denis Bouanga does not like to have people around him because he crowds the area, right?
Schaffelberg he's not an inverted winger. He is a left-footed crossing winger.
So he needs to play in the left where Denis likes to play. So it's a second half luxury to have that guy come in, not $1 million purchase from Nashville. Again, I will always compare myself with Nashville because we're a worse team than they are, and we're rolling with 2 of their players, trying to sell it to our fandom base and our fan base that they're going to be the answer. But you can't burn them yet, man, because they just got here. We're not Brazil, right? We're not the team that just in 3 months just going to get rid of a player because it didn't work out. You remember some of the failures we've had. These guys are going to be here until the end of the season, which, by the way, I think that's what season ticket holders are hearing right now. We will not address this team until the end of the season, and this is what you're getting, guys. I really believe that the World Cup and having this stop and not having a natural regular season like we've had in the past has hurt JT and his planning, because he's always been the guy that brought a lot of players in the middle of the year, right? And kind of revamped the roster midway. And then we have this renewed personality going into the second. It hasn't been the case at all, Eric. And we're struggling, which leads me to my question. The Marc dos Santos crowd, dude, is starting to get really loud. MDS out. We have not seen this before, unless it was at the end of the Bob times, right? And sometimes with Steve. So let's pivot to the coaching staff. Mishaps, right? Forget roster. We beat this up to death, but in-game management, starting lineups being kind of missed. So, like, let's talk more about Mark Dos Santos out and how you said in the beginning, asking for these guys to be fired when we're third in the West. Is it dissonance or is it real?
It's real. And I think this comes down to those of us who have followed this team. Let's look, like, LAFC doesn't get over the hump in the big moments. We're the first MLS team to lose 3 finals in 1 year. Like, that is a record that we hold, and it's not a good record to hold.
No, it's a horrible
We
record.
have lost a lot of finals, and we just don't take the big game seriously. Again, Querétaro, starting Ryan Raposo in that game. What the fuck are we doing?
Another guy that needs to go, like, comes in completely lost.
Exactly.
Misses his defensive assignments every single time.
Yes. Hollingshead, long in the tooth, and look, MDS has not managed the pieces he has very well, I could say a lot of coaches could. I think what we're starting to see more of is the JT out. And I think, you can look at the roster, and some people will say it's like, well, what is MDS supposed to do with this roster? Sure, I will say he can probably do a little better than he can, but there is only so much you can do with this roster. This is not a championship roster at all right now. And that comes on JT handing him this roster of guys that is not a competitive roster. And we're in third right now. But as I said, with a lot of other teams with games in hand on us, that is a mirage. We're probably actually in fourth or fifth right now. If you look at like the points per game average. So, and I think we're probably going to slide a little further down the table as this goes. Like, I don't see this team turning around and pulling off a win streak. We still haven't won a single game that we have went behind in first. Other team scores first.
That's a big one, dude. That's a big one. And when was the last time that you remember this team coming from behind to win a game? We have absolutely no reaction power.
Well, it hasn't been this year.
I don't know if it's mental or what, but it hasn't been this year. Reaction power.
So it's probably at least 9 months since that's happened. So that's
I don't even remember last season this happening either, Eric. It's been really, once you're behind, if this team and the counter of the stat is insane as well. I think LAFC has one of the best records there is if they're up first, which we've always said. You score first, we usually win the game, especially at home, right? We usually do not lose, but the problem we have usually is in this situation where we cannot score, and then they score first in a shitty goal.
Yeah, and at this point, it's 2 games now we haven't been able to score a goal, and where are goals coming from? People low block us. Sun and Bouanga are toast, and we're stuck hoping we can play a 0-0 at this point.
Yeah, so when we had Martinez and Estacio, diming, it was a different team. Right now, you see when you remove 2 of these guys that were giving everything to Sonny and they need to do what they did. It was a different ball game. Now, we have another game this weekend. It's Portland. I've been doing some statistical work with MLS data just because that's kind of what I do, and I like to do it. And what I find is that because of the roster changing all the time and the parity that exists in this league, it's extremely hard to pinpoint what's going to happen in a game. It's a lot easier to do it in other leagues. That's what I'm trying to say. But what that also means is that just because the team is doing bad or have been doing bad for the last 2 games, it doesn't mean that they're going to stink for a third one, right? And that brings up Portland, which is this weekend's opponent. They're coming into the bank to BMO, which it's always harder to do. You're traveling down here and, playing at home. You're playing in front of the 32-52. We lost our last game at home, so that would mean a streak against LAFC at home. We haven't seen too many of those where we lose multiple games at home, especially this season. Have or not, we've been clean at home, right, for the most part. But it's a great game. It's a great team, however. You just beat San Diego, a team that beat us. Now, San Diego, we've said, is not a great team, but Portland does look energized, Eric. By the way, I'm wearing green. I apologize. Did not mean to. I know that's their color. But, let's talk about this game on the weekend. It's a new Portland a little bit. A lot of energy coming out of these guys. What do you have to say about this weekend's game? Are you that down LAFC that you think we're going to get another bad surprise this weekend?
I'm kind of hoping for a draw out of this one, honestly. And if you look at Portland, how they're built pretty much like they always have been. If you look at the San Diego game, San Diego held 65% possession on them. They held 35% possession. They got
Mm,
the same number of shots on target, which was 6.
mm,
Passing accuracy was less. Portland a little more fouls, but Portland is playing a counter-attacking ball as well. We are playing
mm.
a counter-attacking ball as well. So it's going to come
Right.
down to who can play better counter-attacking ball. And I
Mm.
think Portland is just more of a complete team right now. We are a bit of a mess. Basically, we need Sun or Belonga to have some brilliance, and I don't know how reliable that is at this point.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you some stats because I like to do that. It's a team right now with 27 points and has really struggled when playing away. Only 2 wins right now, 7 losses, and in 1 tie. So again, it's a very fragile roster. Portland, that is, when they travel, right? And LAFC on the counter of that is excellent at home. Only 1 loss in 10 in 11, right? And that was against San Diego. So I still have faith. Now you're calling it a tie. Interesting enough, Portland on the road, they seem to go for it. If it doesn't work, they just say fuck it because they only have 1 tie this entire season. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just a team that doesn't tie much. Seems like they want to decide the game, which we don't. Right? We needed to be like that, for example, in League's Cup, right? But yeah, they're ninth. I think this is a good barometer for us because this is a team we should be beating, right? 5 out of 6 times at home with our full roster, which we'll talk about next, right? Who are the best 11 right now? We should be beating this team. And
Here's
I
another
think we
stat.
have this on us, unless there's something else that we don't see, Eric, which is, again, is there like a problem, like a locker room issue? Are these guys already over there themselves? Go ahead.
Yeah. The one other stat I would like to point out is Portland has won 5 of their last 7 games.
Boom.
The only losses they have had was a 2-1 to Chicago, which, as you can see,
Tough
Chicago
team.
is a very good team. And the other one was a 3-1 loss to Club America in the League's Cup.
Bam.
Otherwise, they just dog walked
They've
San
been
Diego
dominating.
3-1. They beat Club Tijuana. They beat Puebla. They beat the Sounders. They beat Salt Lake. And
And I think they're going through, right? They're one of the teams that went through on League's Cup. Can you recall that? I don't.
I don't
But
recall that. I don't
yeah,
recall
well,
either. Once we were out, that tournament was dead to me.
I know. I kind of want to know because that's implications on how they play against us. Because if they have teams that will kind of, if it's a team that will, nope, they did not make it. They were in 7th with 6 points, 2 wins and 1 loss. So yeah, they end up getting eliminated behind LAFC. By the way, the teams that went through, Chicago, like I said, really good team. Austin, which didn't lose. They ended up having the penalty kick win against Club America, which knocked us out, right? Columbus and Salt Lake. Salt Lake being that kind of last team in, right just before us. 7 points as well, but they get in. The fact that they had such a bigger goal differential, 7-1. Again, our inability to score and play showtime ball, right, Eric? Showtime ball. All right. As I said in my card to you, to my text to you, I don't care who you think, we should start from a rotation standpoint. I know all these things, but I just want your best 11 right now. There's guys hurt. Let's assume David Martinez is still hurt, as you and I believe that he's going to be.
Yeah, he will be.
But let's just put our best 11 up there and try to get a W against a fragile Portland team that, has been doing great, but it's been doing great mostly at Providence Park, right? And we're going to have the 32-52 behind us. We're hungry. We're kind of trying to tell everybody, hey, we got this. So there's a lot on the line here for LFC. It's a very important game.
Yeah. Okay. So I am going to go with on the back line. We're going to go with Shaberko just because he's the best option at that position. Then it's going to be Long, and then it's going to be Porteous. And I saw a lot of people arguing me on Twitter that Tafari was better than Long, and I disagree with you guys. He's
only if it's physical, right? I think there's a physical
he's
there.
quicker, but
all in all, Long over Tafari, yes.
I didn't pull this up, but I will bet you that Long has started far more clean sheets this season than Tafari has.
Right.
On the right side, we're going to go with Hollingshead. In the midfield, it's got to be Delgado, Chonier, and Tillman. Although, again, I could see Tillman on the right wing and putting Segura in there, but I don't think that'll happen. And then up front, we got to have Boanga. We got to have Sonny. And I would put Mihalic back on the right wing. I'm done with Tyler Boyd. I'm done with Abobasi. And Schaffelberg on the right-hand side makes no sense because he cannot shoot, and you don't put an inverted guy there that can't shoot. His shooting is worse than Kike Oliveira.
Yes, he's very bad. He's worse than Kike in that regards, like very, very much so. Well, I like your starting 11. I think one change I would make perhaps is give Hollingshead a break and keep Eddie Segura in there,
on
just
the left back.
because this is a team that scores a lot of goals, scored 9 in Leagues Cup, and Eddie, for as let's say not bad but inconsistent he does a lot for us, and I do believe that he, in a defensive mindset, is better than Hollingshead. And then that clears up Hollingshead to come in fresh in the second half to give us some valuable minutes. He still has a role in this team, but I would like to see us basically start with 4 center backs. That's crazy, but that's kind of what we got. And like you said, it's just the roster we constructed for whatever reason. We're
We
having to
always start with
basically
4 center
adapt all
backs.
these
They're all
dumbasses.
center backs on the back line.
Right. So let's just start 4 center backs, no speed and not, and no ability to have these guys go forward, which, by the way, Palencia didn't do it greatly, but at least did better than Raposo, because Raposo gets caught every single time he tries to go up. It's horrible. It's absolutely criminal, his positioning on the field as a fullback. I hate it.
Look,
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
I'm also not opposed to starting Raposo on right wing. I think going forward, Raposo adds something. He's a good right-footed crosser.
Yeah. If you're going to put him there, right? Yeah, I agree with you.
I'd rather see him at right wing than at right back, 100%. But
right, and then the other thing is, like, let's just think about Sonny's role like really well, right? Not yesterday I saw him playing midfielder like he was an 8, and I just like, what are you doing there? And I think that's some of his frustration. Like, give me the ball. If you're not going to give me the ball, I'm going to come get it, right? And at some point, LAFC was rolling a 4-2-4 with Tyler Boyd, Sonny. Everybody was in there. It was a 4 attackers at some point. And I could not understand what we were playing, and it was so crowded in that last line that he just took a line back.
Just play the academy players instead of Boyd and Boubasi, for God's sake.
Boubasi should not play anymore.
Done.
Boyd, again, I don't understand how you can't find minutes for Jude Terry with Boyd and Boubasi playing that bad. Because I get it, they don't play the same position, but if everybody's kind of playing different shit and we're trying to be magicians and smarter than, play smarter than we really maybe. So I think, you got to have played Jude Terry, this guy that everybody's talking about, and he's giving you valuable minutes. Not 1 minute yesterday. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was
crazy. Absolutely unexpected. And
so before we wrap this up, Celso, I think the one last topic I wanted to talk about was the season tickets, the rumors.
Yeah, please. I wish you talked about this earlier.
Yeah,
because that's became a story, and not everybody's going to hear this one, so we might have to cut it, and put it as a small one too.
No, that's fine. And I know a lot of you guys that listen to the show, you are LAFC season ticket holders as well. And with the sprint season, and we saw that Atlanta actually reduced their prices for their fans. Now they have a huge stadium, okay, but LAFC is charging way more money for the sprint season tickets than they do for regular tickets, and it's all bundled together. And so, in our chat group, which is probably about 30 people, almost all season ticket holders, I've never seen so many people that haven't done it yet and are considering not opting in. Throw on top of this, one of the guys in the group had a call from his ticket rep, and he asked about, hey, what's up with the coaching? What's up with this and that? And was told, hey, there's going to be no announcements on coaching or anything until after the season is over. So you have to kind of go blind into this and pick up the next 2 seasons in a row. So a lot of people are really wondering about that. Number 2, if they're going to go to an expanded playoff format, this just cheapens the regular season games. If you're going to go 20 teams into a postseason, what's the point of the regular season anymore? And why wouldn't people just basically sell their season tickets and just buy tickets individually for games? Season tickets is what makes it easier for the club to deal with their finances. When you have open season tickets, you maybe sell it, you maybe don't. When you have a lot of season ticket holders, those seats are sold, and I feel like with all of this, the season ticket holder is kind of getting a middle finger right now from the club office. We were told that we were going to compete for every trophy, that we were going to play an exciting front foot attacking football. This is what we were sold at the beginning of the season. And we don't see any of that. We don't see any apologies for it. We don't see any explanation for it. And the last thing we hear is that maybe we'll say something about it after the season's over. But until then, opt into your tickets. It's a little disrespectful. And I think a lot of season ticket holders are seeing it this way. And I think there's a big danger that they're going to have more non-renewals this year than any other year. So, I support this team. I love this team. I'm not advocating for anybody to not opt in. I think people should, I think paying for LAFC tickets is a great value. It's a great product. We want to see it. But I also think that the front office needs to show a little more respect to the people that pay the bills, or they're going to risk alienating them. And so it's more just kind of like canary in the coal mine. I'm throwing up the warning to whoever's listening.
It's crazy, man. I know we're complaining, but I'm just gonna read like the supporter shield standings, like from like the bottom up, and you see some like really good franchises at the bottom, right? Some of them are spending money trying to get back up. Kansas City is the worst one. Atlanta just tried to spend money as well. Austin just made Leagues Cup playoffs. Montreal looks better all of a sudden. Philadelphia, do you really always discount? Do you want to discount Philadelphia ever with Calvin Sullivan and what they just did to Miami yesterday? No. Columbus is Columbus. They're going through a cycle, right? But they're going to be stronger again. Like that's just who they are. Toronto's been a mess for a long time, but it's a steam franchise. Orlando just brought in Griezmann. Look at the bottom of MLS this year. I'm just bringing this up because Seattle, the 20th best team this year. A lot of teams are struggling, Eric. And I think when again, this is my other side. Look at the other side, man. It's not easy to constantly be top 5, top 6. And LAFC today, even though we have no chances at the Supporters Shield, and it's not our fault, it's a stupid format. We're the 6th best team in this league and the 4th best odds of winning it all. So, yes, I get it. Our standards are very high. It's LA. We're going to win it. But how much is too much of a demand when you know that we're just working this very tight salary place, right? Everything is tight and everything is engineered to make money day of game. You know that. You've been a supporter for a long time. I've been a supporter. I'm no longer. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to spend the money. I wasn't recouping.
Look,
that's the reality of MLS, man. It's hard to do.
But I think
priority bullshit is hard to maintain.
Sure, but there's moral defeats, and the defeats that we've had, I just don't see any positive takeaways. You can go on losing streaks and have things to build on. Like, for example, you're playing the kids, they're starting to improve, and you see something, okay, it's not so good now, but you can kind of see where they're going somewhere, that it's going to improve. And right now, our trajectory, it just looks like things are going to get worse. And, it's nobody really wants to address that or talk about that or even acknowledge that things are going in the wrong direction. And there's nothing to show us that it's going to go in a better direction anytime soon right now. And so more what it is, we've been on this ride. We've seen this ride. We don't like this ride. And this ride never really goes to the heights that like we've been promised and we are expecting. So I think it's we're getting overpromised and we're getting underdelivered, and that's where the frustration is.
I hear you, man, and I respect your opinion 100%. I look at this a little bit different, but it's very true in what you're saying. Completely respected. Look, we got to get out of here. We ran a little bit longer than we said, but if you and I just get into this, and we wanna debate it because it's a big topic and we're very passionate about it. We'll have a full show on Monday, like the full 9 yards. We'll discuss Portland and whatever is after that. I don't even know. I don't even want to look that far out. And all I can tell you is they keep the faith, man. It's one game at a time. We look terrible. These guys got the rest they wanted it. The locker room looks good still. I think that as long as the locker room is still saying, "Hey guys, we can do this," I still feel that we can turn this around, go on a run. We just need to be good for 2 weeks, Eric. Remember this shit. We're already in the fucking playoffs, 98% sure of a playoff spot. We just need to be good for those 2 fucking weeks to lead to the MLS Cup Finals. So if they're going to suck for 2-3 games before that, fine. Have your shitty moment now, right? But get ready because in 2 months, you guys have to just give all your all, and then we'll judge you. Because right now, there's not much else to judge on, right? We're out of the Leagues Cup and we're out of the supporters. So we really just have to seed well so we can host some fucking games, right? And then get to this damn playoff, in Nashville because, it's going to be either Nashville or Inter Miami once again. We already know that. All right, man. Your final score, you said it's going to be a tie, but it's going to be 2-2, 0-0, 1-1. I'll give you and then we'll get out of here.
I said I hope it's a tie. I didn't say it was going to be a tie. I said I hope it's a
I just
tie.
gave you like what their record is away too. You think they're gonna do that to us? Oh my
No,
god.
no, I think we're going to see a 0-0 here, and we're going to be kind of salty on the tie.
Mm. Yeah, that sucks.
So
It's
that's
not
my
that good,
prediction:
Eric.
0-0, people.
It's like, damn, bro. Okay, well, I've been overshooting every single time. I think the last 3 weeks I said, it's gonna be a tie, and it was a loss, and it was gonna be a win. It was a tie, or some of that nature. So I'm going to be with you. I'm not gonna say the same thing, but I'm gonna say 1-1. And yes, we don't look good again, and we get a tie, and we're here saying, was it good or was it not? And having one of those discussions about coaching changes one more time. But maybe we'll get surprised because this team is really good defensively, and Hugo Lloris will be back. Sonny hasn't scored in a while. Maybe he'll get us the pleasure of scoring once again. And Portland is really fragile on the road, so we do have some things to look forward to. And I'm going to be cautious about this 1-1 tie. Maybe my picks for territorial always change, by the way, because then I run the numbers on my models and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to go the other way. But doesn't matter. I get it right or wrong. But all right, man. Good talking to you. And for everybody
Yep.
that listen to us, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll be back Monday live at 5 p.m. And of course, this time, we're not live because we got to back to work. And that's what we're going to do. See you, Eric.